It's spring 2023 and today I'm going to be planting the garden. The weather is finally warm enough. I'm going to show you guys how to plant some squash, zucchini, cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, green beans, and a few other things. Let's get started. Today is May the 3rd and I usually have my garden planted before now, but the weather has been terrible. We've had really cool nights, lots of rain and wind, but today I thought, let's knock this out. It's gardening time. Let's start with some zucchini and summer squash. You know, last year I started staking these for the first time and it made so much more room in my garden beds. I can now plant 6 of these instead of 4, so this year I'm doing it again. As you can see, I've already got my wooden stakes in and I'm just gonna dig some of this out. You see I've got my leaf mold in here from last fall. I'm kind of using that as a mulch. And you know, when I plant plants, you know I'm going to put in some fresh compost. This is composted cow manure. Yes, I'm touching it. I don't care. I'm going to drop some of that into the hole. And then I'm using a combination of some larger plants, like in these 1-gallon sizes. And I'm going to be using some smaller plants too, kind of planting in succession where I'll have things coming in at different times. Let's go ahead and stick this in the ground. Before I backfill, I am going to put some biotone fertilizer in the hole. This is going to help promote roots and, you know, get it off to a good start. Give a healthy dose of that. And then I'm going to backfill away here. Now I'm going to plant a couple more zucchinis right here and here, and then I'm going to do my squash on this side, a total of 6. And as they grow, I am going to have to tie these up, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So again, on this side, I'm gonna be planting some straight neck squash. Now, what people don't realize about these summer squash is they grow pretty large. Expect them to get at least 2 or 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide. That's why I do a lot of pruning, chopping off those lower limbs. That'll help with air circulation and disease. I got videos on it if you wanna watch that. And my raised bed soil is already pretty soft and loamy. If you're here in the South and you're planting these in red clay, make sure to get the ground broken up and soft. That way those roots can spread out and grow. Look at those beautiful white, healthy roots. That's what you want to see on a plant. Let's get this puppy in the ground. Again, with these squash, you're going to want to dig a pretty wide hole, wider than what the root ball is. So I'm going to get this out here. Then I'm going to add in some compost. This is key. This puts fresh nutrients back into your soil. And then you're going to take it out nice and slowly. Now, I don't want to disturb the root ball too much on these because it's not circling. This is a very healthy plant. No teasing needed really. I'm going to stick it straight down in there. Add a little bit of biotone around it. And then backfill. And of course, at the very end, I'm going to water all my plants in and get out any air pockets. Up next, I'm going to be planting some cucumbers. I've got the homemade pickles, which is a pickling variety, and I've got Sweet Success, which is a burpless, long, slender variety. I like to plant my cucumbers close and plant lots of them. I only space them about 6 to 8 inches apart, and I always have something for them to climb on. You need to get them off the ground and make sure you get some air circulation. That way they last longer and resist disease. Cucumbers, I'm going to plant the same way. I'm going to dig out a pretty wide hole, backfill it with some fresh compost of your choice, mushroom compost, chicken manure compost, cow manure compost, and again, you want it to climb up something, so don't worry about, if you have tomato stakes, tomato cages, those work great. This is just an old chicken wire fence. anything for those runners to latch on and grow up. I'm gonna plant 8 tomatoes in this 8x4 raised bed. I'm gonna space 2 feet apart on each one. I'll have 4 on this side, 4 on that side. And this year, the lineup is red brandywine, big beef, Cherokee purple, a couple more big beef, a variety called Better Bush, which is a determinate variety. It's gonna stay much shorter and I'll have to do a lot less staking. Now for my tomatoes, I am gonna be adding in a different kind of compost, this time Stout Ollie, and it's a blended compost of fish, cow manure, and plant material. I find that it's really great for your tomatoes. Now, of course, when you're planting your garden, you can add compost in at the time of planting, or you can do it throughout the season. You can just top dress the first or the top 3 inches of your beds. I kind of do that too. I do both. And that way that compost has time to break down and your plants can absorb it. Tomato plants are a little bit different than other vegetable plants. If you pinch off these lower limbs, I'm even going to do this bigger one. They will grow roots if you bury them down into the soil deep enough. Some people like to lay them to the side and then cover them up. I just kind of dig a deep enough hole to get it down in there. And once I backfill this, I'm going to cover up the branches I just broke, and that's going to actually grow roots, which will give this plant more stability as it grows. And tomato plants are going to grow very large, you know. Determinate types are going to stay maybe around 3 to 5 feet. Indeterminate types, however, are going to grow 6, 8, 10, even 12 foot tall if you can keep them going through the season. So I do space about 2 feet apart. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I'm a big advocate on pruning. This keeps it kind of in control, keeps disease off of it, and you get an overall healthier plant and you can produce a lot more fruit. Those last 2 tomatoes I just planted are big beef. Those are indeterminate varieties and I plant them every year. I have such success with them. It seems like they're extra prolific. The vines never hardly get disease from me. Try that one if you've never tried it. I'm also, I'm going to throw in some heirloom varieties. This is Cherokee purple, known for its purplish black skin. It's absolutely the tastiest tomato. That and brandywine, my favorite 2 for taste. Also indeterminate, so it's going to grow big, and I'm going to have to start staking these as soon as the weather continues to warm up and they grow. Now, I already mentioned it, but this is brandywine. This is another heirloom variety. It is so tasty, makes really large fruits, and you got to be careful with some of the heirlooms. They are known to get disease, so pruning is very necessary, I believe, especially here in the South where we have hot and humid summers. Now I'm going to be planting some Better Bush. I love this variety. It comes in early. It's determinate, so it only grows to kind of a certain height. It's very short. It's got a big stalk on it. You sometimes don't even have to stake it. It's so shrub-like. And I get plenty of tomatoes off of them. Try Better Bush, definitely worth growing. In this bed, I'm gonna be doing a line of green beans through here, the tenderette bush bean. It's an early, it comes in like, I think it matures in 50 days, so I'll be eating green beans in July. And I'm just gonna make a row through here and then plant them about every 6 inches. When they come up, I'm gonna thin them out so that they're spaced about every foot. Green beans don't always come up like you want them to. That's why I plant them pretty close together and thin them out later. That way, if they don't all germinate, it's no big deal because I know at least half of them are going to germinate. And so when I thin them out, they'll be spaced again about a foot apart. I love the tenderette bush bean because it's a bush bean. It's not a climbing bean. I don't have to worry about staking it. It grows in a nice compact form and you still get plenty of delicious green beans off of it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and backfill. I'm not burying these very deep, maybe just about an inch down into the ground. So I just planted my green beans on this side. On this side, however, I'm gonna be planting some cantaloupe. I'm gonna be doing Athena and Burpee hybrid. This is also called muskmelon, and I'm strategically planting them on the side of this raised bed so that they can grow over and then grow out onto the ground, and that's where I'm going to be making my harvest. I got plenty of videos on this if you want to check it out, but you can definitely grow watermelons and cantaloupes in raised beds. Now, spacing on the cantaloupe and muskmelon, I'm probably going to go 1.5 to 2 feet apart. I'm going to try to squeeze in 6 through here on this 8-foot bed, and you know, that'll give the roots enough room to spread and kind of keep to themselves. You got to make sure you really lay the water to them, especially early on, get them going. And then of course, adding more cow manure compost and biotone fertilizer. I'm also going to be planting some seedless watermelons, but they're not quite ready yet, so I'm not planting those right now. So let's move on to pepper plants. I'm going to plant some bell peppers. This one's early sensation. It's a golden bell pepper, very sweet. Now, bell peppers, you have to be pretty patient. Even planting this now in May, I probably won't expect to see peppers until July. Peppers definitely need 6 or more hours of sun, well-draining soil, and I think people underestimate how much water they need, especially in these raised beds. Vegetable plants in general need more water more often because the beds are draining so fast because of the loamy soil. Now, if you're in the South and you're planting in the ground in red clay, that's gonna hold a lot more water, so you can then back off. Next, I'm gonna be planting an Italian bell pepper called Giant Marconi. Don't confuse it with Giant Macaroni. This one turns red if you leave it on the vine long enough, and it actually grows elongated. It turns into a huge bell pepper, perfect for sauteing or throwing it in a pan with some other vegetables or salads. I'm out of breath. So it's the next day. Our camera battery died, but we're back in action. We're planting this morning. It's a little chilly. And let me give you a pro tip about peppers. So peppers are a little slow growing. And what I like to do is not only use compost, nice rich compost, I like to use a little bit of blood meal, because blood meal is an organic source of nitrogen. It's a 1200. That's going to encourage more top growth. And then when we get to the month of June, I'm going to switch and start using bone meal. That's higher in phosphorus, and that'll really create more blooms and ultimately more peppers. So you know I like it spicy, and you know I'm going to plant some hot peppers. This is one I didn't plant last year. This is Mucho Nacho Jalapeno. So if you want to do some big, huge stuffed jalapenos in the oven, this is the one to get, because it is a very enlarged jalapeno, plenty of room for stuffing, but beware, it's very hot. I'm also going to plant some super chili, and I love super chili because it's a nice little spicy pepper. The peppers themselves are very small, so they're great for fresh eating, but the pepper plant stays nice and compact. So if you wanted to grow a pepper in a pot or container, this is a really good one because of the short size, and it's extremely prolific. You can pick hundreds of little chili peppers off of this. And finally, I'm going to be planting cayenne. This is a good old-fashioned hot pepper. I grow this one every year because I love the flavor. It's just spicy enough to where it's not overwhelming, but it does have a kick. And it's just kind of a family tradition to sit around the table at 4th of July and eat these with a good juicy burger. So I got to make sure I plant these. Now you want to make sure you get the spacing right on peppers. There's something in the hole I just dug. It's kind of weird. Let's find out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I'm going to be giving you updates all along the summer season. But seriously, folks, if you want to follow along and see what else I plant in this garden this year and get updates and more pro tips on how to grow vegetables, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And until next time, become a plant person.